Namaskar. Good evening. Welcome you all on 10th day of ICR National Institute of Agricultural Economics and Policy Research webinar series on quantitative methods for social sciences. In many times in our daily life, we have to obtain optimal solution for many problems, considering available resources as constraint. For that purpose, we convert it into mathematical equations and derive solution using linear programming. Therefore, today we will learn about linear programming. Now, I request my co-host Dr. Abhimanyu Jajria to introduce the speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Vinagnikam, for introducing the topic. Good evening to all. For today's lecture, we have with us Dr. Harish Kumar HV. He is an agricultural economist working as a scientist in the Division of Forecasting and Agricultural Systems Modeling at ICR Indian Agricultural Statistics Research Institute, New Delhi. Dr. Harish is mainly working in the area of production economics and optimization. Now I request Dr. Harish to start his lecture.
So Vinayak sir and Abhimanyu sir. So very good evening to viewers. Hope everyone is safe at your places. So let me directly go to presentation of today's session on linear programming. Hope the screen is visible to all. Vinayak sir, can you please confirm whether
You share it.
Just a second. Yes, since now it is visible.
It's in process. Yes, it is shared now.
Yes. Fine. So let me start. So beginning, sir was introducing this topic when this linear programming is used to optimize the limited scarce resources. We use this tool. And before going directly to this linear programming, let me place this topic where actually this topic suits. So to come to know where we can use this tool also. Before that linear programming, let us go with what is actually this operation research is and how it is related to our today's session. The science of operation research was emerged during World War II. We all know there are two forces were Allied and Axis forces. So these two forces, especially in Allied forces, the Great Britain, they were facing many problems with respect to the efficient use of the resources available with them. So they had very well equipped, very expensive, very complicated air-based as well as land-based war equipments with them, but they could not able to use them efficiently. And that's why these Great Britain, they have called various scientists from various backgrounds like physics, chemistry, economics, mathematics. So from various backgrounds, they have gathered these scientists and they have grouped these scientists to work on various operations. Like to name, one team was working on say a radar system. So usually radar system will going to signal the any external element which is entering into the border of country. So it will going to give a signal. So the Great Britain want to maximize the first warning time and the attack time, so that if they maximize that time, they can reduce the loss. So one team was working on such a radar system, and some similar many teams were working on various such teams. Say one team was working on a reduction of the shipping losses. Usually the Great Britain, they have been shipped food material from their friends, but these the Germany, they used to destroy those ships. So they want to reduce those shipping loss, and meanwhile they want to maximize the damage to the German U-boats. So in this way, there are various teams which were working on various operations. So now the name of this science, operation research, came from that particular operations only. So here there are various teams working on various operations. That's why it is named as operation research. So to define in a very simple way, it is simply a scientific method of providing the executive departments in each department. So on a quantitative basis to use a particular quantity of resource to optimize the situation. So simply it is a science applied to the management. We can say it as a science applied to the management. How the process of this operation research will be using for the problem solving. So here the process of operation research, first and foremost thing here is observation. So we need to identify the problem with the system. So for that we need to thoroughly and continuously observe the situation. So that is the first phase in any operation research technique use. The first and foremost thing is observation. That is the keen observation of the system. After observing the system, if there is any problem with the system, then we will going to define the problem, what actually the problem is, and what are the limits of those problems. I mean, what are the quantities of say inputs, what are the material availability is there. So those things we need to define. That is about problem definition. And the next step is whatever the theoretical backset we have, so we're going to convert that theoretical background into a model form. That is simply a theoretical form into a mathematical equation. So here it is called as a model construction. We will going to set a equation forms for all those problems which we have. So we will convert them into a equation. So that is about model construction. And the next step is model solution. So here we will going to get a solution for our model based on the kind of problem. So here we will be having various operation research tools, or in fact we call them as optimization techniques. So we make use of these techniques for getting solution for our model. Once we get solution, then we will going to implement in our real-time situation. So even if in implementation stage also, if you come across any changes that has happened, we'll say the prices of inputs have changed, or the quantity availability has changed. So then we can redefine the problem, and again we can reconstruct the model and we can get the solution. So that's why we call it as a ongoing process. Even at the end of the implementation phase also, we can go back to the problem definition phase and we can get solution. I was mentioning about the model solution, where we make use of various optimization techniques. So here are the various optimization techniques. Now you can feel where our tool will fit. See here, we have various broad categories. See, mathematical or LP based tools. So here our linear programming model will come. Here everything is assumed to be linear. That's why we call it as a linear programming model. And we have integer programming. So these two topics will be dealt in this session. And we have transportation, assignment problem, goal programming, these things which comes under mathematical LP based model. We have probabilistic models also, like game theory, Markov analysis, queuing theory, simulation. And we have inventory models. There we have certain inventory models and uncertain inventory models. These are all mathematical based. And we have network models. So that is the program evaluation and review technology and the critical path method, and various other models like dynamic programming and non-linear programming, that is quadratic, based on the nature of equation. So we call it as quadratic, separable programming, stochastic programming. These are all the other models. And these models are all traditional models. So the recent or the modern models, what we call, so they are all like a genetic algorithm, simulated annealing, ant colony optimization, particle swarm optimization, fuzzy optimization, neural network. So these are all the various optimization techniques we have. So in this session, we will be dealing with LP model and the integer model, that is linear programming and integer programming. So coming to the application of this optimization techniques or the field of operation research, we have a lot of application of these optimization techniques. Say in case of government level also, at government level also it is being used in developing the structural plans for our country, or even the allocation of the expenditure. So there also it is being used. Coming to health system also, it is well used in stock control of various pharmaceutical materials at regional as well as national level, and also in organizing the ambulance services also. There also the use of these optimization techniques is being used. Especially in defense, it is used in war games as well as in arms control as well as the logistics support. So there also is used. So like this, we have its application in finance, production, marketing, personal transportation, and even our agriculture. So we can devise optimum crop plan for a region, or we can also suggest a optimum crop dairy farming system to a farmer. So in this way, it has a lot of application in various fields. Let us do the current session on a linear program. So coming to linear programming, now we came to know where this topic comes, and it is very simple mathematical technique where we will going to optimize. So here when I say optimize means either we can maximize or minimize. So we're going to optimize the usage of limited resources. Since we have all resources are limited, so to optimize such resources, we make use of this tool. So there is a textbook definition here. So it is a mathematical technique wherein we can maximize or minimize the linear expression. We call it as objective function, subjected to a lot of constraints which are also linear. So keeping all these constraints, we will go to maximize the objective function, and all are linear in nature. That's why we name this technique as a linear program. And coming to this linear programming model, so here formulation of LP model, there are three important elements involved in formulation of LP model. First and foremost is the decision variable. So here when we call decision variables means what we have to determine. So these will going to decide the objective function. And the next element is objective function. That is what is the aim of our optimization, whether it is a maximization or a minimization. So the next element, important element is the constraints. Suppose we have a raw material availability constraint, we have say land availability constraint. So those things we need to satisfy. By satisfying these constraints, we have to achieve the optimization. So these are all the three important elements we need to consider while formulating any LP model. So now let us formulate an LP model with the available cases. A typical textbook case. Later we shall go for a real-time application of this tool in agriculture case also. So this is a simple case for a better understanding. So I will read out this problem. So here a film ready mix producers. It is a film which produces two kinds of varnishes. One is exterior paint, the other one is interior paint, by using two raw materials. One is M1, the other one is M2. And here they have given a information in a tabular form. Here we can see the raw material M1, raw material M1, raw material M2. So to produce 1 ton of, let me exit this PowerPoint. You can see this. See, produce raw material 1 ton of exterior paint, 6 tons of raw material M1 is required. Similarly, to produce 1 ton of interior paint, 2 tons of raw material M1 is required. Whereas its availability is restricted to 24 tons per day. Maximum availability of raw material M1 is 24 tons. So similarly, we have one more raw material M2. To produce 1 ton of exterior paint, we need 1 ton of raw material M2. Similarly, to produce 1 ton of interior paint, we need 2 tons of raw material M2.
Dr. Sir, your voice is not clear.
Yes. I will. So it is clear now, sir?
Now clear.
Now clear. Fine. So I was explaining about this. Here the raw material conversion is given. That is to produce 1 ton of exterior paint, 6 tons of raw material M1 is required.
Still that problem is their voice problem. Just adjust your mic. Keep your mobile on the top of table so that it will receive good signal.
Yes, it is placed, well placed, sir. Is it audible now? Is it audible now?
Yeah, now
Hello.
it's audible.
Fine. So I was explaining this problem. So to produce each, these are all the raw materials required, and their availability is also restricted. That is 24 tons and 6 tons. And meanwhile, the profit per ton of exterior paint is $5,000, and profit per ton of interior paint is $4,000. So this is all we got from the identification. That is the observation of the situation. Right. So here the problem is, and the problem continues. The market survey restricts maximum daily demand for interior paints is 2 tons. That is, the firm has conducted a market survey, and it says that the absorption of market to a maximum extent is 2 tons for interior paint. And additionally, the daily demand for interior paint cannot exceed that of exterior paint by more than 1 ton. So it is an indirect way of demand for exterior paint. So whatever the daily demand for interior paint is there, which cannot exceed that of exterior paint by more than 1 ton. Now this mix producer wants to determine the optimum product mix of interior and exterior paint. Hope it is clear now. See here, the problem is the firm wants to optimize the product mix. They have 2 products, that is exterior paint and interior paint, which are produced by using 2 raw materials, raw material 1 and raw material 2. Now the availability of this raw material is also restricted. That is, the raw material 1 availability is only 24 tons per day, and raw material 2 availability is only 6 tons per day. And the per unit profits of these outputs, that is exterior paint and interior paint, is given. And there are also restriction with respect to the market restriction. That is, the daily demand from the market for interior paint is only 2 tons, and exterior paint they have given in an indirect relationship. So the firm wants to maximize total daily profit, by producing these 2 products, So let us see then how to formulate this problem. So I was mentioning we have 3 elements in LP model formulation. One is decision variables, the other one is objective function, and the other one is constraint. Coming to the decision variables. So here the decision variables will be the how much quantity of these exterior and interior paint to be produced, right? So here I will name this quantity of exterior paint to be produced as X1. So I am just converting this problem into a mathematical equation. So I will be naming them as X1 and X2. So X1 is the quantity of exterior paint to be produced, and X2 is the quantity of interior paint to be produced. So these are all the decision variables which will go to decide the profit of the firm, right? So hope it is clear now. The decision variables are the X1 and X2, that is the quantity of exterior paint to be produced and the quantity of interior paint to be produced. So coming to the objective function. So by making use of these decision variables, we will create an objective function which is a linear in nature. So what is the objective of the firm here? The firm wants to maximize the total daily profit. So let Z be the total daily profit. Now maximize Z is equal to profit from exterior paint, profit from interior paint. So the sum of these 2 will be our objective function. So coming to the coefficients here. So 5, X1, 4, X2. The coefficients are here per units profits. Let me go back to the previous table. See here, they have given profit per ton is $5,000 for exterior paint, and for interior paint it is $4,000. So the same coefficients were used here, 5x1 plus 4x2. So this is our objective function. Now we have to maximize this linear expression by subjecting to constraints. We have a lot of constraints also. Let us go with those constraints also. Yes, I am with these constraints. So we have raw material availability constraint, right? So the constraint with respect to M1 is its availability is only 24 tons, as we have seen from previous table, and M2 availability is only 6 tons. We have to formulate these constraints now. See here, 6x1 plus 4x2 is less than or equal to 24. This is the constraint representing the raw material M1 usage. Let me go back to the previous table. See here, 6x1 plus 4x2. Usage of raw material M1 by two products must be less than or equal to its availability. So why we are using less than or equal direction means the availability itself is 24 tons. So we must see that its use must be less than or equal to its availability. That's why it will be 6x1 plus 4x2 must be less than or equal to 24. Similarly, with respect to the raw material 2, it will be 1x1 plus 2x2, which must be less than or equal to 6. This is with respect to the raw material 2. See here, 6x1 plus 4x2 is less than or equal to
Dr. Sab, sorry to interrupt, but
yes.
is not clear. Yeah.
My voice is not clear, or the problem is not clear?
Now it is clear. You can hold it in front of your mouth so that it will.
Okay, fine.
Like
so we were formulating the constraints. See here we have constraint with respect to the raw material M1 usage. See 6x1 plus 4x2 is less than or equal to 24. We must be careful by using these directions. So here it is availability is itself 24. We must see that usage of this raw material by two products, that is x1 and x2, must be less than or equal to its availability. So this is with respect to raw material usage. Coming to the demand restriction. So with this problem, see here, the market survey restricts maximum daily demand of interior paints is 2 tons. So maximum daily demand is 2 tons. Interior paints represented by X2 must be less than or equal to 2 tons only. Whatever the solution we get, so X2 must have less than or equal to 2 tons only. So this is demand restriction for the interior paint. Coming to the demand restriction for the exterior paint, see here, the daily demand for interior paint, that is X, not exceed that of exterior paint by more than 1 ton. That means X2 minus X1 must be less than or equal to 1 ton. See, the daily demand for interior paint is X2. Interior paint is represented by X2. Exterior paint is represented by X1.
Sorry to interrupt again, but your voice is not at all audible to people. Maybe you can speak slowly so that again they can.
Okay, sir. Okay. So we'll go slowly then.
Connection also, net connection if it is proper. Otherwise, can have
connection is proper. So let me go slowly again.
Yes.
With respect to the demand of the exterior paint, so the daily demand for interior paint cannot exceed the exterior paint. That is X2 minus X1 must be less than or equal to 1 ton. See here it is written X2 minus X1 is less than or equal to 1. So this is for the exterior paint.
Not audible at all. Not at all.
So now, sir,
you can change your microphone if possible.
Is it audible now?
It's audible now, but after some time it goes.
No, I have taken out this microphone. Seems it is audible now. So
okay, now you can.
Let me continue like this only. So if it is not audible, please inform me, sir, so that I can make other arrangements. So now it is audible seems. So now the demand restrictions and the raw material usage restrictions are defined, and we must have one non-negativity restrictions. It's a general restriction we call. That is the X1 and X2 must be a non-negative values. So they must be non-negative real values. That is X1 and X2 must be greater than or equal to 0. Then only it makes sense. If x1 and x2 assumes negative values, so then it has no meaning. That's why we impose an additional restriction. We call it as a non-negativity restriction. X1 and x2 must be greater than or equal to 0. See, these are all the constraints what the firm has. Yes, we have defined the objective function. See, this was our objective function. Maximize z is equal to 5x1 plus 4x2, subjected to, these are all the constraints what we have. The first constraint is with respect to the raw material M1. The second constraint is with respect to raw material M2. And the third one is with respect to the demand for interior paint. And the fourth is demand for exterior paint. Last one is a non-negativity restriction. So this is called as an LP model. See, earlier we had a theoretical background. Now we have transformed the entire theoretical background into mathematical equations. That is set of equations which are linear in nature. Look at this objective function as well as these constraints. Everything is linear. There is x1 square or x2 square. So everything is linear. And here also in constraints it is linear. So Vinayak sir, is it clear now?
Dr. Sir, we can have additional source of network also if possible. I think
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure.
some problem in network also.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. So right now it is clear. So this is the LP model. So this is how we will going to formulate an LP model. This is our objective function subjected to these constraints. Right? So once we formulate this LP model, so if you solve using software, so it is very easy to get solution, but the manual solution maybe takes some time. So let us go with some other problems which are related to our agriculture sciences. So then you will feel the sense of this tool. Let us go with one situation. See here, this problem is with respect to a dairy situation. Here, a dairy firm, that is a Naidu dairy farm, he uses at least 800 kgs of special feed daily. So this farm uses 800 kgs of special feed daily, and this special feed is a mixture of corn silage and soybean meal with the following composition. So here a farm is, dairy farm is there. They make use of 800 kgs of special feed. Here special feed is nothing but a mixture of corn silage and soybean meal. And here the content of these feeds is given, say corn silage. See, 1 kg of corn silage supplies 0.09 kg of protein and 0.02 kg of fiber. And the cost of 1 kg of corn silage is ₹20. And similarly, the other feedstuff, that is soybean meal, the 1 kg of soybean meal supplies 0.6 kg of protein and 0.06 kg of fiber. And the cost of 1 kg of soybean meal is 62 rupees. So here the content of this feedstuff is given, and the cost of per unit cost of this feedstuff is given. Now the dietary requirements of special feed must have at least 30% of protein in it and at most 5% of fiber in it. Say an animal nutritionist has suggested this term, you better to have this special feed with at least 30% of protein and at most 5% of fiber for an ideal feed. So now the firm wants to determine the daily minimum cost of feed mix. Earlier problem was with respect to a maximization of total daily profits. Now this problem is they want to determine the daily minimum cost of feed mix. At lowest cost, they want to supply this feed stuff to the their dairy, right? So it is clear, the problem is clear now. So now let us formulate this problem. So it is related to dairy sector. Let us formulate this problem. First and foremost step is decision variables. We need to identify the decision variables, which decides the objective of the firm. So here the decision variables is X1 will be the quantity of corn silage to be used in special feed. and X2 will be the quantity of the soybean meal to be used in special feed. So these are all the two feedstuffs. So they will be the decision variables, deciding factors for the least cost supply of feed stuff, feed mix, right? So X1 will be the quantity of corn silage to be used. X2 will be the quantity of soybean meal to be used. These are all the decision variables and objective function. The objective of the firm is to supply this feed at lowest cost. So it will be a minimization. Now here the optimization means minimize the cost. Let Z be the minimum feed cost. Now minimum Z will be 20x1 plus 62x2. See, recall these 20x1 and 62x2. 20 is the per unit cost of corn silage, 62 is the per unit cost of soybean meal. Right? So these coefficients are the unit costs of these stuffs. So we have objective function now. Minimize Z is equal to 20x1 plus 62x2. This is the objective function. Let us see what are the constraints this dairy has. So here they have demand constraints. That is, in the beginning they have defined the dairy farm uses at least 800 kg of special feed, right? So special feed is a mixture of X1 and X2. That is corn silage and soybean meal. So the X1 and X2 used special feed must be greater than or equal to 800. Since it is at least, it is referred at least 800 kg. We have to use this direction greater than or equal to 800 kg. This is demand constraint. And we have constraint with respect to the protein requirement as well as the fiber requirement, right? So coming to the protein requirement, so they have defined here the dietary requirement of this special feed must at least.
Dr. Sir, if you are little bit slower, then it is more audible. Try to.
Okay. Fine. Yes. Now the dietary requirement of the special feed must have at least 30% protein and at most 5% fiber, right? So here the content of this corn silage, 1 kg of corn silage supplies 0.09 of protein and 1 kg of soybean supplies 0.6 kg of protein. Right? See, that is here we have defined 0.09 from the corn silage, 0.6 from the soybean meal. It must be greater than or equal. There it is at least 30%. So it is greater than or equal to 30% means it is 0.3 of X1 and X2. It is a special feed. 30% of the special feed, which is mixture of both X1 and X2, that is corn silage and soybean meal. So if I simplify this equation, if I bring this right hand side elements to left hand side, so it will be minus 0.1 X1 plus 0.3 X2 greater than or equal to 0. So this constraint represents the protein requirement. And the second one is the feed must contain at most 5% of fiber. That is, the fiber content should not exceed 5%. It must be less than or equal to 5% only. Corn silage supplies 0.02 kg of fiber. Soybean meal supplies 0.06 kg of fiber. It must be less than or equal to 5.
Your voice is not audible properly. Is it possible to change device?
Increase the volume. Then, I will use one more.
Is there? Yeah.
Yes. Just a second. Is it audible now, sir?
It's audible, but in between again that voice goes.
Yes. So we'll see that I've used a different speaker. Let me.
Okay, we be little slower.
Yes. So this is with respect to fiber constraint. 0.02, that is corn silage. 0.06, that is fiber content in the soybean meal. It must be less than or equal to 5%, that is 0.05 of special feed, that is X1 and X2. So upon simplification, we will get this function, 0.
Not audible, Dr. Sir.
Not audible.
Mhm. Is it possible to change the laptop? 1 minute we can have break. We will start.
Just a second, sir. I don't have any alternative with respect to laptop. So then I will speak bit louder and slowly. Let me try this. Speak bit louder and slowly. So this is with respect to the fiber constraints. See, we have demand constraint, protein constraint, fiber constraint. And the last general restriction, that is, these decision variables must be non-negative. That is, they must be positive, either 0 or greater than 0. That is, x1 and x2 are greater than or equal to 0. Right? So these are all the constraints now. See, now this is the overall model. This is how this overall model looks like. So we have transformed the theoretical background of those diagonal dairy form into a set of equations. And these equations are linear in nature. You can observe there is no any non-linear component here. This is our objective function, that is minimizing the feed mix cost. And these are all the constraints. These constraints. So this is the model with respect to the Naidu dairy farm. Naidu dairy farm. So let me use one more example with respect to our agriculture case, and we shall solve all these situations and we shall interpret on Excel solver as well as on R software. So let me define one more problem. So before defining that problem, it is of integer programming case. So till now we have studied a linear programming case where the x1 and x2 must be non-negative, but they can take any real value. That is, it can take a fraction as well as an integer value. But here in integer programming, everything is same. The difference is the x1 and x2, either all decision variables or some decision variables, must take integer values only. Then only it makes sense. So let me give an example. Suppose if you are devising an optimum dairy plan where you have a local cows as well as say a crossbreed cows. You want to suggest a dairy farm to have this many number of desi cows and this many number of crossbreed cows, right? So now the x1 is the number of desi cows to be maintained in his farm, and x2 is the number of crossbreed cows to be maintained in farm, right? So now if x1 takes say 1.5, then it doesn't make any sense. We cannot suggest farmer to have 1.5 desi cows or say 3.5 crossbreed cows. Then it doesn't make any sense. That's why in such cases, if the variable takes only integer value, then only it makes sense, right? So that's why we make use of integer program, which is an extension of linear programming. Everything is same, everything is linear, but we assume some or all variable based on the context as a integer values. Let us formulate one such problem, then you will feel the what is the difference between a linear as well as an integer program. So here we have a pure integer programming where all decision variables are required to take integer values, and mixed integer programming where some can take fraction values or some variables must take integer. So it is a case for mixed integer programming. And we have again a binary integer programming. So here the decision variables can take either 0 or 1. So we call it as a binary integer program. Let us see with this case, you will be clear after formulating this problem. So it is a typical rural agriculture implement manufacturer case where an agricultural implements manufacturer, he has 6 units of wood with him and 28 hours of work time per week, in which he makes simple agricultural implement. So 2 implements, namely plow and seed drill. So plow and seed drill are the 2 implements which have sold well in the past. So you will restrict for preparation of these 2 materials only, that is plow and seed drill. he estimates that the plow requires 2 units of wood and 7 hours of work time, while seed drill requires 1 unit of wood and 8 hours of work time. So these are all the requirements of each.
Hello.
So now, how many of GUs to maximize is we?
Dr. Saab, unmute yourself.
Am I audible, sir?
Audible. I think some technicians, they are asking that whenever you are using your mouse, then problem is there. Try
Mouse.
minimum, yes.
So let me close this mouse and okay, fine. So I have not using this mouse now. So let me continue. So if the problem persists, so I will try to speak bit louder and go slowly. So
It is okay now. It is
follow
clear.
the things then. So now in this problem, see the implement manufacturer as 6 units of wood and 28 hours of work time per week, right? So he is producing 2 implements, that is plow and seed drill. The requirement for plow is 2 units of wood and 7 hours of work time, whereas for the seed drill 1 unit of wood and 8 hours of work time. The prices of this plow and seed drill are 1200 and 800. Let us formulate this problem and see here the X1 and X2 will be obviously the number of plows to be produced and the number of seed drills to be produced. That is numbers per week. How many number of plows to be produced in a week and how many number of seed drills to be produced in a week. So those will be the decision variable. See, now X1 and X2 must take integers only. If they take any fraction value, it doesn't make any sense with respect to the manufacturer, right? So that's why we must suggest the manufacturer in integers only, right? So it is a case for pure integer programming where X1 and X2 must take integers. So it is a pure integer case. Now the objective of the manufacturer is to maximize this weekly sales revenue. So let Z be the sales revenue and 1200 is the profit that he earns from the sale of plow and 800 is the profit that he earns from the sale of seed drill. So the sum of these two profits will be the overall profit, that is overall sales revenue, right? So maximize Z will be 1200 X1 plus 800 X2, fine. So now the constraints with respect to the wood, he has restriction, that is only 6 units of wood is available and 28 hours of time is available, right? So 2 units of wood is required for producing 1 plow and 1 unit of wood is required for producing 1 seed drill. And the usage by these two products must be less than or equal to the wood availability, that is 6 units. Similarly, time also, see here, 7 units, 7 hours of time required for manufacturing 1 plow and 8 hours for manufacturing seed drill. And availability is 28 hours per week. It must be less than or equal to availability, right? So coming to the non-negativity and integer restriction. See here, earlier I have defined X1 and X2 must be greater than or equal to 0. That is, they can take a fraction as well as any positive value, any integer value also. But here we are defining it as X1 and X2 are non-negative integers only. They must take integer values only, right? So the overall model for this case looks like, so this will be the objective function and subjected to these constraints and overall non-negative integer constraint. So recall our LP case, everything is same, but defining the integer restriction is right. So this is with respect to an integer, which is a pure integer case. That is, both decision variables must take integers only. Let us go with one crop dairy farming system case, which will be a real-time application. Let us see with that case where a integer as well as any real value must be taken. This is a mixed integer programming case. See here, a farmer by name Venkatesh. He is a crop dairy farming system based farmer. He wishes to his total revenue. He wishes to maximize his total revenue with the available resources. So there is a table which provides information on the resource availability, on information requirement for these enterprises. See here, this table is going to give us what are the enterprises that the farmers wants to go based on his past cultivation experience, and these are all the resources that he has. He has 4 acres of land with him. He wants to cultivate tomato, cabbage, ragi, and he is also having dairy with him. So dairy will be one more enterprise. Right?
Also, don't use that mice. Don't use mouse.
Yes, sir.
Don't use mouse. Just explain.
Okay, fine. So labor availability, here it is 350 man days of labor availability is with him, and the enterprise requirement is given. 180 man days is required by the tomato crop, 65 man days is required by the cabbage crop, 32 man days required by the ragi crop, and the crossbreed cow, it is given, it is not visible for me, so there it is mentioned. Similarly, capital requirement, he has capital of 2,50,000, and the enterprise requirement is given for cultivating 1 acre tomato. 1,25,000 is required, cabbage 65,000, ragi 12,500, and to maintain a crossbreed cow it requires 33,000. So water restriction is also given. 100 acre inches of water is available, and the enterprise requirement, that is tomato requires 24.5 acre inches, cabbage requires 17.8 acre inches, ragi requires 9.4 acre inches, and crossbreed cow also it is given but not visible for me here. And the returns from these each enterprise is given in the last row. Per 1 acre cultivation of tomato, the revenue from tomato is 2,80,000. From cabbage it is 1,35,000. From ragi it is 19,000. And by maintaining 1 crossbreed cow, the revenue is 65,000. So these are all the information that is available with the farmer. Let us go for the problem now. Now, here continue with this problem. Ragi being the regular diet of this farmer's family, so he needs minimum 1 acre of his land to be under ragi, which also serves the fodder security of his dairy. See here, he wants 1 acre under ragi crop only, even though it is not profitable. He wants 1 acre under ragi since his family diet requirement is ragi, and also it serves the fodder security for the dairy that he is maintaining. And continue with this problem. Since the dairy is earning him regular income for family maintenance, he insists at least 1 crossbreed cow in his farming system. So he insists 1 crossbreed cow, at least 1 crossbreed cow in his farming system, since it earns him daily regular income, right? So this is the farmer's situation. Now he wishes to maximize total revenue from these enterprises, keeping this availability of resources like say labor, land, capital, and water. So these are all the restrictions that he has. So we must formulate an LP model for this, and a mixed integer problem for this crop dairy farming system. See here, now the decision variables will be x1 will be the area under enterprise 1, that is tomato. Say x2 will be area under cabbage, x3 will be area under ragi, x4 will be the number of these crossbreed cows to be maintained. These are all the decision variables, and the objective function will be the maximizing total revenue. Let Z be the total revenue. Maximize Z is equal to 2,80,000 X1. Here 2,80,000 is the revenue from cultivating 1 acre in tomato. 1,35,000 from cabbage, 90,000 from the ragi, and 65,000 from maintaining 1 crossbreed cow. The sum of these profits will be the total revenue. So we want to maximize this total revenue by keeping certain restrictions that what he has, right? So let us go with these restrictions. See here, the first 3 enterprises requires land, right? So these enterprises use land must be less than or equal to the availability of the land. He has 4 acres of land with him, right? So the usage by these 3 enterprises, of course, the last enterprise dairy doesn't need any land. It is been maintained near to his house only. So assuming that the first 3 enterprises requires land and it must be less than or equal to 4 acres only. That is what he has. And coming to the labor, 180 man days required by the tomato crop, 65 man days required by the second crop cabbage, 32 man days by ragi, and 38 man days by the dairy field. And it must be less than or equal to the total labor availability man days, that is 350. Similarly, capital constraint. So it is written there, it is with respect to the capital constraint. And the last constraint is the water constraint. So these are all the restrictions with respect to the input usage. So recollect our problem where it is given. He insists that at least 1 acre should be under ragi cultivation. That's why ragi is X3. We have defined number of, that is area under ragi as X3. So X3 must be greater than or equal to 1 acre, right? So that is minimum requirement for his family, right? Minimum area under ragi is, that restriction is X3 must be greater than or equal to 1. And the last restriction is the crossbreed cows. So he wants at least 1 dairy animal should be there in his farming system. So X4 also must be greater than or equal to 1. And coming to the last restriction, that is non-negativity restriction. See here, sorry, it is not X1 plus X2 plus X3. It is X1 comma X2 comma X3 must be greater than or equal to 0. So what I mean here, they can take any fraction values as well as integer values. But X4 must be a non-negative integer. See here, X4 is the number of dairy animals to be maintained. It makes sense only when it takes integer value. That's why I have fixed X4 must be a non-negative integer, right? Hope it is clear now. These are all the restrictions. So now it is a case of mixed integer program. See, earlier was pure integer. Now here, the first 3 can take any real values, but the last one must take integer. So it's a mixed integer programming. So the overall model of this crop dairy farming system looks like, so the first is the first line represents the objective function. Everything is linear, subjected to these constraints. Say input constraints is defined and the minimum requirement constraint is defined, and overall non-negativity and integer restriction is defined, right? So this is how a mixed integer programming model looks like, right? So hope you got the difference between an LP model and a pure integer case as well as a mixed integer case. So now let us go with the solution for these cases, right? So these information are available with us, that is they have been observed and the problem is defined. What we did is we have just formulated the model. After formulating the model, we need to get solution, right? So first 2 problems we will get to solve using LP and the last 2 problems using integer programming, IP, right? So these are all the assumptions, that is LP models must be deterministic, that is everything is known or certain. So what I mean deterministic means whatever the coefficients that I have used, that is say a unit requirement of those raw materials as well as the unit profits. Those things are known in advance, that is certain. That's why they are called deterministic. And LP models are proportional. Proportionality means in economic terms we call it as a constant returns to scale. Whatever the changes which happens in the constraints, so the proportionality will reflect in the objective function. LP models are additive. So we have seen everything is additive. Say with respect to the objective function, the per unit profits of say 2 outputs will give the total profit. So the additive will be, it is a additive nature. There is no concept of x1, x2, right? So it is a additive. And the decision variables are divisible. It is with respect to the LP, whereas with respect to the integer, they are not divisible, they must be integer. And there is a overall non-negativity restriction, that is they must be non-negative values only. The addition variables must be non-negative values. So we have two approaches for solving these LP problems. One is graphical approach and simplex method. So we are already done with 1 hour. So let me go to the simplex method only by using Excel solver and as well as the R package. So I will skip all those things for this since the time is constrained for us here. So I will skip all those things. We have to optimize our purpose today. That is, we have to achieve our goal of the understanding of this LP. So I have to optimize the situation. Let me, considering this time restriction, let me skip this graphical approach. So here we have extreme point solution method. So let me skip this. So I will go directly to the software solution methods. So these things I will skip. Simplex method, so it is given by Dantzig, so we will go directly with the software solution only. These are all the things which we need when we solve these problems using manually. That is, we need to convert the raw LP into a standard form by using slack, surplus and artificial variables. So we need not to worry about this right now. Let us go directly to the solution for these problems what we have defined. So special cases also, let us not worry since time is constrained. Yes, solution. So we can solve the problems what we have formulated so far using, say, we have many spreadsheet packages like we have Excel. So in Excel we have one solver spreadsheet. So through that also we can solve. And one of the leading commercial packages Lindo and Lingo also there. We can solve from that. We have GAMS IDE. LP Solve IDE. So these are some integrated development environment platforms. So from there also you can solve. And now they are also a part of various softwares like R and SAS. So in today's session, we shall solve this case using Excel as well as R. Excel as well as R. So coming to the first case that what we have formulated, that is a ready mix company situation. So there they want to maximize their total daily profit by producing exterior paint and interior paint by keeping the raw material availability as well as the demand restrictions in mind, right? So let me go to the Excel first, and then we shall solve using R. So let me open. Follow these steps for solving these LP as well as integer programming cases in Excel. So just I opened an Excel sheet. So in any Excel sheet, many of you may not be having the solver option. We need to install that option in our Excel. So for that, what we have to do is go to this file option, here top of this Excel sheet, leftmost top. So here we have one option called Excel. It is installation of solver. In my system it is already installed, but for you, for your practice, I am in these things. Go to the Excel option here. So Excel option, click on Excel options. So there we have on the left side we have options called add-ins. Option is there, add-ins. Click on that add-ins. So if you click add-ins, So here, go for manage Excel add-ins. Go for manage Excel add-ins. So if I click here, you will going to get the tool packs available with the Excel. See here, I need Excel solver add-in package. Solver add-in package. It is already clicked here, so that means it is installed for me. So for you, if you want to install in your system, you have to follow this option, go to this Excel options, then go for add-ins, and in add-ins manage, go here and then select this solver add-in, click OK. So once you click OK, go to data tab here. So here,
Dr. Sab, sorry to interrupt again. When
yes, sir.
you use your mouse, you perform action, then explain. Because when you are using your mouse, then that time that voice is not clear. You first use do action, then explain.
So
It will be some tedious, but for that audio is also is important.
So now I have to do with this Excel. I have to make use of this mouse.
First you perform the operation, then explain that.
Okay.
While doing that operation, you don't explain. After
Okay.
explaining.
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So please follow these steps. I will go slowly. Later, I'll explain those steps since it has some audio issues. So solver. This is the tab we want for getting solution for LP models. We need to place our LP model in Excel sheet in some standard manner. Let me copy this ready-mix situation sheet. This is the problem we had. We need to solve this problem. So let me copy this. Paste it here. Just for placing these values here, I have copied here. See here, what we have to do is first we have two addition variables here, x1 and x2, x1 and x2. So you can place anywhere in this sheet here. So two decision variables are there, x1 and x2. Fine. So after entering the decision, suppose you have three decision variables, use x3 here, parallel to the adjacent to the one we have entered here. If you have 4 also, use x4. So since we have two decision variables in, after entering these decision variables, leave a row blank. See, leave this row blank. This entire row we have to leave blank, right? So after that, see here, exactly here, we need to enter the constraint one, C1. How many constraints we have here? We have 4 constraints, C2, C3, C4. So these are all the constraints we have. Fine. So two decision variables, leave a blank row, enter this C1, C2, C3, C4. Suppose if you have fifth one, we can write it here C5. Since we have only 4, I will restrict for C4 only. Now enter the coefficients of the constraints below here. See, coefficient of x1 in the constraint is 6. Right? Coefficient of x2 in the first constraint is 4, right? Now after entering this coefficient, leave a column blank. See, this entire column needs to be left blank. After that, adjacent to that, enter the right hand side element of that particular constraint. The right hand side element of the first constraint is 24. See, 24. So this is with respect to the first constraint. In the same way, enter the values for second constraint. The coefficient for x1 was 1, the coefficient for x2 was 2. The right hand side element is this column blank and the right hand side element is 6. Similarly, for the third constraint, the x1 coefficient, there is no x1 in third constraint, so x2 coefficient is 1, a column blank, and the right hand side element is 2. Okay? And the fourth constraint is the x1 coefficient is -1. We must be entering the values, and the x2 coefficient is +1. right hand side element is 1, right? So after entering these values, exactly below this x1 and x2, enter the coefficients of x1 and x2 in the objective function. See what is the coefficient of x1 in the objective function? See here it is 5x1 and 4x2. 5x1 and 4x2. So the coefficient for x1 is 5. The coefficient of x2 is 4. So these are all the objective coefficients. Objective coefficient. So this is the first step. In this way, we have to enter the data into Excel spreadsheet of our model, right? So after this, we need to carry out a simple operation called sum product. So you can ask me why we have left one row, one column blank. Means, see here, I will highlight this portion here where you will going to get the values of x1 and x2 in each iteration. That's why I left blank here. Let me highlight this. Yes. So here you will going to get values of x1 and x2, and here where you will going to get value of z, maximum daily profit. So you can get here, right? So now exactly adjacent to the first constraint, that is in the column what we have left, we have to carry out a simple operation, that is sum product operation, that is equal to sum product of these two blank cells below the decision variables. Sum product of these two blank cells, right? And I will fix these cells, since I will going to drag in the next step. So I will fix these cells. So for fixing these cells, F2, that is function F2, you have to use sum product of these two cells, shift F2. Just a second. So it's not working there. We need to fix this. So it's okay. We can use it for next continuously. First, we have to drag these two cells. After that, sum product of these first constraint values. Then close the bracket. So similarly, second one, it is also sum product of these two blanks, comma, second constant coefficient. Similarly for the third one, so it is sum product of these two blanks and comma the third constant coefficient. So there is some problem. Equal to sum product of these two blanks, comma the coefficients of the third constraint, close the bracket, and similarly for the rest of the constraint also. So sum product of the two blanks below these decision variables, comma the fourth constraint coefficient. So we need to carry out this operation for the last blank also. That is where we will going to get z value. That is the sum product of these blanks. Sorry, sum product of these two blanks. So this is the step we have to follow. After entering the values, we need to carry out sum product formula, right? So after this, we have to go for solver option, right? Solver option. Let me go to the data tab. So solver is in data tab. See here. So click on solver. We will going to get one more screen here. That is solver parameter, set target cell. So target cell means the cell where you want to get this Z value. See, this is what we have set this target cell. Please see this yellow portion, one objective coefficient. This where you will want to get the Z value. That will be our target cell. Target cell. Coming to the equal to, here see equal to, here we have either it is a maximization case or minimization case. So here we are dealing with maximization case. Select maximization. Select maximization. After selecting, it is by default selected. After selecting the maximization, click on by changing cells. By changing cells means by changing these x1 and x2 values. See these blank cells. These blank cells. Click on these blank cells. Right now we have target cell is fixed. The changing cells of x1, x2 is fixed. Now we need to add the constraints. We need to add this constraint. So for that we have option here, add. So here the left hand side cell reference is given, the right hand side constraint is given. So the left hand side cell reference is represented by this sum product column. With respect to the first constraint, it is point represented by the first constraint. So this particular cell, see here the constraint nature. The first constraint here, all constraints are less than or equal. The constraint nature is less than or equal. Select the less drop down option. If it is a greater than or equal, you can select greater than or equal. Now select less than or equal. Now the right hand side element. The right hand side element is 24. Now click here, add this. So now first constraint is added into that constraint box. Let us go with the second constraint. The cell reference, it is less than or equal nature, so need not worry. And the right hand side element is 6. Add it. This is second constraint. And the third constraint is reference is this one. And the right hand side element is 2. Add this. So similarly for the last constraint, the cell reference is this one. It is also less than or equal nature. And the right hand side element is 1. Now we have added the fourth also, so we will going to click OK. Now you can see here in the constraint box, 4 constraints are added, first, second, third, fourth. So those constraints are added. Now after adding these constraints, we need to have some assumptions. We need to fix some assumptions. For that, go to options tab here. So go to options tab here. In this options tab, so we have to click on assume linear. That is, it is a linear programming case. So assume linear. Similarly, for the integer case also, we have to assume it as a linear. It is also linear model only. So assume linear model and assume non-negative assumption. Click on assume non-negative assumption. So these 2 checks we have to make in this options. Next, click OK. Click OK. Now we have fed all model into our Excel solver. Now we have an option here. See, solve option is here. Click on solve. Let me click on solve. See here. Now you can read solver found a solution. All constraints and optimality conditions are satisfied. That means this particular LP model, we have met all constraints. That is, we satisfied all constraints and the solution is optimal. So the solution is appeared. Now look at your original table. See here, 3, 1.5. These values were not there earlier. See, 3, 1.5 is here and 21 is here. What actually the meaning of this 3, 1.5 and 21 is, X1 means the quantity of exterior paint. That is 3 tons of exterior paint, 1.5 ton of interior paint. It will going to leads to a total daily profit of $21,000. See here, this is the total daily profit. So this much we can get from this option. And here in this screen we have reports option, right side. See here, one answer report you can get, and also we can get sensitivity analysis for this problem. So you can click the sensitivity analysis also. So after this, click OK. Okay. So now look at this sheets. Let me close this. Look at the sheets. So this is where I was working in this sheet. So adjacent to those sheets, I have two more sheets generated. That is two result sheets generated in my Excel. See, this is answer report. So this is generated report, and we have sensitivity report. This is also generated report. Let us go with these reports. So now from this table only we can say 3 tons of exterior paint and 1.5 tons of interior paints. This combination will going to maximize the total daily profit, that is $21,000, right? So let us go with this report. Answer report. Answer report. Coming to the answer report, see here in answer report, the objective coefficient, that is the Z value will be, final value will be 21, that is 21,000 cities, 21,000 cities. And the values of X1 and X2 are, final values are 3 and 1.5. 3 and 1.5, that is 3 tons of exterior paint.
Just explain it. When you are using your mouse, voice is not clear again.
Okay, okay, okay.
Just explain.
Okay, okay. So first I will click. See, this 21 is the objective coefficient value, that is Z value. Z value. These 3 and 1.5 values are the quantities of the exterior paint and interior paint to be produced. So this is the optimal values, optimal values. And we have the last constraint portion. There we have, see, status is given, binding and non-binding. There is, we have 4 constraints in this problem. First 2 constraints are the binding nature. Last 2 constraints are the not binding in nature. Not binding in nature. That means, see here, first 2 constraints, the right hand side value is 24 and 6. They are fully used. Let me go to this one. See here, these are all the right hand side elements. And these are all the optimum solution. After the optimum solution, these are all the raw material usage. So for first raw material 24 fully used, second raw material 6 tons fully used, and the third restriction was with respect to the demand for interior paint, that is must be less than or equal to 2, but our solution is suggesting 1.5 tons of interior paint, right? So now it is less than 2, so it is not equal to right hand side, so it is not binding, right? So, and similarly the last one is also minus 1.5. So that means the x2 minus x1 is less than or equal to 1. That logic is also holds good, but it is not equal to the right hand side. So last 2 constraints are not binding, that is they are not fully consumed or they are not fully met, but the solution is optimal. First 2 resources are fully used and they are scarce resources. Those resources, with respect to resources, those resources, they are fully used, they will be called binding resources, or they are called as a scarce resources. See here, the status of the first resources is binding, that is they are scarce resources. There is no slack left in the first 2 constraints, that is slack is 0. Slack is 0. Now we shall see what is the meaning of if they are binding or if there is scarce, what is their meaning, and how to analyze this sensitivity analysis in the sensitivity report. This is all we can read from the answer report. Coming to the second report, sensitivity report, adjacent to this answer report, this is the sensitivity report. What is the sensitivity? That is the, we will going to establish the range for the, say, the raw material usage or for the coefficients of the objective coefficients, right? We will going to establish the range. Within this range, whatever may be the changes, the same solution holds good, right? So that's what we call it as a sensitivity analysis here. And coming to our constraints, I was referring to the constraints, first 2 constraints, that is raw material 1 and raw material 2, they are scarce resources, right? So that's why we will going to get the marginal value product for those resources. Only for the scarce resources only, we will going to get marginal value product. Then only it has meaning, right? For the surplus resources, we won't get, since it is already surplus, there is no use of adding such resources into the production process. Since first two are the scarce resources, we will get shadow prices, we call them. See here, we have shadow prices generated for the first two constraints. First two constraints are with respect to the raw material usage. So shadow price is 0.75 for the first constraint, that is raw material 1, 0.5 for the raw material 2. There is no shadow value for the third and fourth constraint, because they are not binding or they are surplus. There is something left, right? So with respect to the shadow price interpretation, what is 0.75? What I mean 0.75 here is, if you increase raw material M1 usage by 1 more ton from present level, 1 more ton, then the profit will be increased by $0.75,000. Or if you decrease the raw material M1 by 1 ton, the profit will come down by $0.75,000. Similarly, with respect to the raw material 2, if you increase the raw material 2 by 1 more ton, $0.5,000 profit will be increased. So if you decrease, vice versa. What we can interpret here, raw material M1 has a higher marginal value product. So if we had the prices of these input prices also, we could have concluded that, see, the prices of, say, raw material M1 is lower, then we would have suggested the firm that if you want to use some more raw material, you please go with the raw material M1, since it has higher marginal value product. That we can say, right? And again, this cannot increase or decrease widely. There will be a range for it. Within that range only, this shadow price holds good. This shadow price holds good. Let me see here. See the right hand side, that is raw material availability of M1 is 24 tons. Its allowable increase is given adjustment. Allowable increase, that is, if you increase from 24 to 36, that is 24 plus 12, allowable increase is 12. 24 plus 12 is 36. If you increase from 24 to 36, or if you decrease from 24 to minus 20, right? So that is between 20 to 36. In that range, this shadow price holds good. This shadow price holds good. So this is the meaning of the shadow price sensitivity with respect to the right hand side element. Similarly, for the second raw material, 6 tons is available, allowable increase is 0.66, that is 6.66, and allowable decrease is 2, that is 6 minus 2 is 4, that is between 4 and 6.66, the shadow price of 0.5 holds good, right? So this is with respect to the sensitivity of the right hand side to the changes of the raw material. Coming to the sensitivity analysis of the coefficients, right? So first, these are all the values, 3 and 1.5, 3 tons of exterior paint and 1.5 tons of interior paints our solution is suggesting. So we want to know in what range this solution holds good. The objective coefficient of X1 is 5, that is, selling 1 ton of exterior paint, the profit will be $5,000. By selling 1 ton of interior paint, the profit will be $4,000, right? So now we want to know what is the range of these coefficients. Even say in the market, suppose the profit, the per unit prices of this exterior paint has increased from $5,000 to $6,000. Then we want to know whether the current solution holds good or not. So that we want to know. So for that, even if the coefficient will increase by, allowable increase is 1 and allowable decrease is 3. That is 5 plus 1 is 6, 5 minus 3 is 2. That is between 2 to 6. That is the per unit profit of exterior paint between $2,000 to the $6,000. The values of, that is the final values, that is 3 and 1.5 holds good. Similarly, suppose the objective coefficient of the interior paint, that is, it was $4,000. Allowable increase is 6. 4 plus 6 is 10. Allowable decrease is 0.66. 4 minus 0.6 is 3.33. That is between 3.33 and $10,000 for interior paint. The solution holds good. That is 3 tons of exterior paint and 1.5 tons of interior paint. So the solution holds good. But the Z value will going to obviously vary. So that we can easily get by substituting these values of coefficient to the objective function. So this is the sensitivity analysis of the linear program. Since we have a shortage of time, so for the rest of the problem, we have two problems of the, say, pure integer and mixed integer. Let me show how to use integer restrictions here in this problem only. Then I will go to the R solution. See here, the same problem only. Suppose, assume we want x2, that is interior paint, to be only integer. Now we want to fix x2 as integer. For that, what we have to do is go to solver. The same way we have to enter the values, but only thing is we have to impose an additional restriction. That is, see here, I am adding one more constraint here. The cell reference, see here, x2, below that x, where we are going to get the solution for x2, I will select that cell and I will fix that cell as a integer value. See here, we have drop down option for selecting direction of constraint. There is option for integer. So let me select integer. So now I am fixing x2 as an integer for the coming two problems. So we cannot solve those things now, right now, since because of paucity of time. So I am showing here only how we can solve an integer case. So for an example, x2 is an integer. I am assuming x2 as an integer. So I am imposing an additional restriction along with all those restrictions. So okay. So see here, this constraint box, integer is fixed. So now everything is same. You must see that in options, linear and non-negativity are clicked. Yes, it is fixed. Go for solve. Now observe here. See, earlier x2 was 1.5, x1 was 3. Now the solution has changed. See, x2 is now an integer. Earlier it was a continuous number, that is 1.5. We had a fraction of 0.5 with integer. Now it has taken an integer value. So this is the simple difference in Excel solver. Everything is same. In the same way you have to enter the values. In the same way you have to fix the constraints in this model. But we have to impose an additional restriction here. Suppose if I want both x1 and x2 as a integers, simple. See, in this integer, I will change here. See, instead of selecting the particular cell, I will select these two cells. These two cells are selected as the integers. Now click OK, solve. Solver found a solution. The conditions are satisfied. X1 is 4, x2 is 0. See, x2 is 0. It is 0. X2 is 0. It is minus 2, 10 to the power of 12. It is given. So it is 0 only. So 4 is integer. X2 is also 0. So the Z value will be 20. In this way, we can solve an integer case in Excel. So in very short, I will show these things in R also. Let me go to this R. So for Excel, we need to install solver package with us. So similarly, in R also, we need to install a package called LP solve. So here in my R, it is already installed. I will show where we have to install here. Go to this, go to this, and here we have option called install. So there we have to field LP solve. We have to see here. We have the first one LP solve. LP solve. So this package needs to be installed for solving an LP as well as integer cases in R package. So it is already installed for me. So I will skip this. Your concern. So I have seen that it is needs to be installed in this way, right? So let me go to this problem. Ready mix problem only I will solve there. So here we need to have a codes for this problem. See, this was our problem. We need to transform this value, this model into a codes. See here, first we have to load this in our library. So that is the first code I have written. So right now I cannot write each code. Sorry for that. So it is already 5:30. So I will quickly copy this and paste there. But for time's sake, I will explain this each codes. The first code is we have to upload in our library this LP solve package. After that, we have to define a vector that is objective. That is objective coefficient. So I will define it as a objective as a which is 5, 4. Those are all the coefficients of objective in our LP model 5, 4. And I have to define a matrix for these values of this constraint coefficient. So matrix is equal to matrix of these coefficients. See, this is model, right? The coefficients like 6, 4, 6, 1, 2 from the second, 0, 1 from the third, and -1, +1 from the fourth. So those values I have written here. You can see here in the matrix. Now I am defining how many constraints I have. 4 constraints. So I have to place this by row wise. So number of rows are 4 and assign these values by row. So for that, by row is equal to true. So this is the matrix of the coefficients of constraints. Coming to the right hand side, we need to enter the right hand side elements also. 26 the right hand side elements of the 4 constraints. So they are defined. We need to define the are less than or equal. So I have defined less than or equal. Now we need overall code for solving this. That is produce dot solution is equal to LP of, it is a maximization case. We need to define here whether it's a maximization or minimization within inverted comma, whatever the elements we have so far defined, those things we have to write here.
Dr. Sab, don't use mouse, just explain.
Okay, sorry. And after that, we can get this sensitivity analysis. For that, we need to use compute dot sensitivity is equal to true, right? So these things we have to define. The rest of the things, once we will want to click, we will going to get the solution. Let me copy all these codes and I will paste this. Let me open new script. Yes, new script. So I have pasted everything here. The same thing I have pasted here, right? So I will go by one code. So the first one, I will run the first one. So yes, it is objective I have defined. So you can see here the same thing, it is coming in console. The script I am writing, script is pasted there. I am running each row by row. You can see here also, and here in the environment panel also, everything is defined. See, objective is defined. So you can see here also. So coming to the next matrix, next the right hand side is defined. The next direction of the constraint is defined, and the next overall code is, now from this overall code we want to know status of this problem, that is whether the solution for this problem exists or not, that we want to know. So that is status of this problem. So after the produce dot solution, we have a dollar, after that status. So if you run that, we will going to get 0. If you get other than 0, then the solution for this problem doesn't exist. That is, we might have committed a problem in formulation. So we must go back to the formulation. We must see whether there is any error in our formulation. If it comes to 0 only, then the now let me know what is the Z value. For that, it is objective function value. So the Z value is 21. You recall the solution from the Excel, it is also 21. So the Z value is 21. And let us know what is the values for X1 and X2 for that solution values. So see here, X1 value is 3, X2 value is 1.5. That is 3 tons of exterior paint, 1.5 tons of interior paint, right? So the solution is got. Now we want to know this shadow values, shadow prices, right? So for knowing shadow prices, here we have options called duals. We call here it as a duals. So I will run that line also. See here, I got duals. The first two duals are the first two constraints, and for the rest of the two constraints, it is showing 0, 0. And the last two are the duals for the decision variables X1 and X2, right? So only first two constraints are the binding constraints. So they are scarce. So we got 0.75 is the marginal value product of the shadow prices, what we call in the Excel solver. So here we call it as a duals. Let us know the range of these duals of the right hand side to these duals to what's good. What is the range of right hand side? So for that we need to run duals from and duals to code. Let me run duals from and duals to. With respect to the first constraint, see here, duals from is 2e plus 1. It is nothing but 2 into 10 to the power of 1. That is 20. Duals from is 20 and duals to is 3.6 into 10 to the power. That is 36. Between 20 to 36 raw material availability. Earlier it was 24, right? So within this 20 to 36, this dual holds good. Similarly, the second one, 4 and 6.6. Between 4 to 6.66, this 0.5 dual holds good. Let us go with the objective function coefficients. Let us see the sensitivity coefficient from and to. I will run this. See, this is 2 from and 2 is 6. For the X1 coefficient, that is $5,000 from the sale of one ton of exterior paint. So within the range of 2 to 6, see here, 2, 6. Within this range 2 to 6, the solution, that is the X1 is 3, X2 is 1.5, holds good. Coming to the second one, within the range of 3.33 to 10, that is with respect to the interior paint, the solution holds good. So in this way, we can get sensitivity analysis in R also. So in this way, we can get, when it comes to the integer programming, everything is same. So here only. Here the crop dairy farming system case, we had a fourth case, that is the dairy being the, it must take integer value only. So here, look at here, I have defined integer vector, that is the fourth variable must take an integer value only. I have defined here, so we must see that an additional command we need to return in this final code. Everything is same. We have to define the variable which needs to take integer in this particular line. So everything is same. So this is how we can get solution for LP as well as an integer programming cases in Excel solver and the R package. So sorry, I could not able to explain many of the examples were there because of paucity of time. So I will end this here. So I will hand over the session to the organizers, Vinayak sir, so for further proceed.
We can have questions, Q&A section. You can see the questions.
Yes, I am looking at this question answer tab here. So yes. I have a question from Anumant Shinde. So his question is simplification is necessary for minimization problem? Can it use as it is? So here Anmant was asking, do we need to simplify the problem for minimization case? So we have defined in the earlier standard forums, the problem needs to be a maximization only. It should be, not must be. We can solve minimization case. When you solve manually, solving a maximization case is much easier than minimization case. There is a duality with respect to this LP maximization and minimization. When you solve a maximization case, you can get the solution for minimization case, vice versa also. If you solve a minimization, you can get a maximization case. So it is not a mandatory that we need to convert a minimization into maximization. Of course, we have so many advanced packages now. In a single click, you can get solution. So it is not a mandate. It's not a mandate. Fine. So now I have a question from Sandeep Thakre. So his question is, if coefficient of x1 decision variable is 0.75, can we convert it into 1 for integer programming? See here, the question of Sandeep Thakre is, suppose our solution says that if you simply run a LP problem, it was an integer programming, x1 must take an integer value only, but we have run that problem as a LP problem, but the solution is giving x1 is 0.75. It is a fraction, but it makes sense only when it makes integer value. For that, Sandeep is saying, can we convert it as a nearest value 1? So what is the problem with the conversion with respect to the nearest problem is, the current solution may not be optimal. If you complete the round of that particular value, whatever the solution you got, that may not be the optimal. That's why we must solve these cases using integer programming. So fine. So this is question from coming to the Jaya Jayanti. Is the range of allowable increase, allowable decrease implied the limit of input usage for attaining maximum profit? So here it is not a case for attaining a maximum profit, just for knowing the firm to in what range, whatever the shadow price that we are getting, it holds good. Suppose the firm can increase the raw material availability from 6 to 7 by getting this present solution only, but they may not go for again running this problem again, for only for that sake only, for knowing in what range this solution holds good. For that only we make use of this range. So otherwise there is no need of whether this is usually used for maximizing the profit only. It is not the thing. So what is the criteria for select the either LP or integer model to better explain the problem? This is again question from Jaya. See here, I was mentioning here, if the variable makes sense, only takes an integer value, then only we have to go for integer case. Otherwise, we can go for LP. See, I was mentioning the case of a dairy farm where a combination of desi cows and crossbreed cows. So there, these two must take an integer values only. Then only it makes sense. So that's why in such cases we have to go for integer programming. If we need not to have a integer values, then we can go for LP. Then I have a question from Premchand. Excel solver handles limited number of constraints and activities. What about R? So in R, you can add any number of constraints, but we must see that we cannot add as much number of constraints, because the problem with adding so many constraints is we may end up with infeasible solution. That problem may be an over constraint problem. We must see that only relevant constraints may be used for solving the case, but in R we can use as many number of models. What is the accuracy of the LP model by Jagannathan? Yes, the accuracy lies with the model formulator only. Whatever the inputs that you are giving, the output that will be given by the L4 solution. So we must see that in the beginning, we must give exact values of those inputs or the per unit profits. So then only, obviously, it will give the real sensible values only. So what we call garbage in, garbage out. That's why we must see that we should not enter garbage. So we must add the real values or the perfect values only. So what is the application rate of LP model in agriculture research and production? Fine. So it is being used in, as I mentioned, in the farming system research, and it is being used in the agricultural expenditure allocation, as well as it is being used in many of the Food Corporation of India. It is being used, transportation model is being used, that is an extension of LP. So FCA is using the LP model, and even the Fertilizer Corporation of is also using the LP model. So it has a wide application. Again, a question from Premchand: can we link a matrix in Excel worksheet to R instead of writing entire matrix in R? Sorry, as per my knowledge, it is not there so far. So we can create a code for that. We can link. So as per my knowledge, as of now, there is no such direct entry. Sir, please suggest some good material for multi-objective optimization in R and GAMS. So good material in the sense, again, we need to refer the textbooks only. So Taha is one most used textbook, basic textbook. Yes, question from Anumant Shinde again: is Tora good for LP? Yes, Tora is also one platform for running LP problem. So fine. Vishal, I have answered this question. So we have to refer the materials like Taha and some of engineering optimization textbook one is there. So for that. And one question from the Biswajit Devnath: can we use data from many enterprises of similar kind for programming? If you have sub enterprises, we can make use of them as a different. We can consider them as a different decision variables. Yes, we can make use of different enterprises. Fine. So hope I have answered all questions. So.
Yes, all questions from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All questions are answered. So there is no more questions.
Okay, I think no questions are there. Again.
Yes, sir. I will hand over to the Vinayak, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Harish Kumar HV, despite having some problems in your audio system, you have given very good explanation.
Sorry for that. There were some audio issues.
Yeah,
and one who has suggested there is some mouse-related issues. So, yes, it is.
Whenever you are using your mouse and keyboard,
yes, I am using mouse.
That's not audible.
Problem.
Okay. Yes. Despite having that problem, you have given very good explanation to the linear programming topic, and by giving practical example also in both Excel as well as R software. Though there was voice problem, but still we are getting very good comment and response from both Facebook and Zoom platform we are using for this lecture. And for that, we are really thankful to you for today's session. Thank you very much, Dr. Harish.
Thank you. I thank organizers and also viewers also. And please, considering the situation, stay at home and stay happy. Thank you.
And dear participants, tomorrow we'll be learning machine learning, and particularly in that artificial neural network with Dr. Girish Kumar Jha from ICR, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. Thank you very much for active participation and learning. We'll meet tomorrow at 4 p.m. Till then, goodbye from me and my co-host, Dr. Abhimanyu. Thank you.
Thank you.